Alright, I thought I'd make a little video this afternoon. It's a little after 5 o'clock, Sunday evening. I'm out here in the garden. Thought maybe I'd tell everyone who is viewing my video this afternoon what all we have planted. I know you guys have watched the videos on my YouTube channel, Outdoors with Tim, and you have seen this garden be started into the tilling process and even some of the plants that we added, but this is kind of an update. So I'm going to start with the row to the far left over there. That is our snap peas. A lot of people plant those in the late winter, early spring, and then late fall, and we have planted them in beginning of May because we planted Blue Lake bush beans, but we were planted a little early and the ground soil was still at a cool temperature and we had some moisture and the seed just rotted in the ground, so it didn't do well. So we redid it. We planted the snap peas, and in the second row, as you can see right there, that is bush beans. Not the Blue Lake, but they are a bush bean. And then in this row here, where that first plant looks a little skimpy, it did get burned due to some over fertilizing, and those are bell pepper, or I'm sorry, excuse me, they are jalapeno peppers, and we have a few jalapeno peppers. I will zoom in on it for you. I have some on there. Look out. And in this row, they got burned. Those first three plants got burned, but they're bouncing back. Those are the zucchini squash, and then the two in the back are also zucchini squash, and they did not get burned as well or as bad as the first three did, so they're doing really good, and those first three are going to bounce back. And this plant right here is our what they call Georgia collards, and got to keep an eye on those because I get these little worms on there that just love to eat them up. And if you can look at some of the holes that are in the leaves right there, you'll see I've had some worms, but I pick them off every morning when I come out to do the garden, and just smash them, throw them away. It's just part of having collards. You can spray some organic stuff on your plants to help keep them down, but they never really quit coming. And on the end here, that beautiful luscious plant there, that is yellow crookneck squash growing there. And then inside these cages is cucumbers. Now normally I let my cucumbers grow throughout the garden and they just make a huge mess of things. So this year we're going to let them grow up in these wire tunnels. That's what I call it, cages. It's like a tomato cage, but I've seen this done in other garden videos, so we're going to give it a try this year. And right here we have some rosemary that we purchased from the Lowe's. Well, those were actually given to us as a gift from somebody, and I'm just kind of watering them. I will be putting them in some larger pots and moving them to the porch, so I just keep them down here with the garden for now until I remove them. In that pot right there, and that black thing happens to just be maybe like a hard piece of soil, but is a couple of peach seeds. It takes about 3 months for a peach seed to sprout, so there'll be some time before we see that. And then here are bell peppers. So I will take you along and show you some of my bell peppers. Doing really good. Some bell peppers growing in there. Yeah. So, and they have really deep soil in this half of a 55-gallon drum that I've sawed in half and filled with potting soil and compost. And then we have our tomatoes, which are full of blooms, and we also have some small tomatoes that are starting to grow. So I'm excited to see if we have a good yield of tomatoes. We have 2 tomato plants, beefsteak tomatoes, and then we have our cherry tomatoes that are doing really good here, and we have a few of them. See if I can find them. They're rather small, but they are growing. Let's see. Okay, there's a little one. You can see that or not. Right there, a little one. Little cherry tomato growing. We have them all over the cherry tomatoes. So they're doing really good. Make sure I'm zoomed out here. Okay. Get my focus back. And then we have the corn. I have, what is it, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 rows, short rows of corn. Corn does really good in small blocks. I see people that plant corn, 1 or 2 long rows, and they just have a tough time with their corn all year. And that's because corn, to be honest with you, they're a sociable plant. You can see the shadow in the background. Sorry, guys. Corn likes to be able to touch each other. And it's very important for pollinating too when the corn starts to get to that mature level where it tassels out. Corn has to be able to pollinate. And it does really good in blocks. So that's why this corn is planted in a 6-foot by 8-foot wide block. And it's doing really, really good. So anyway, I'll take you over here and show you some zucchini that are growing. Here we go. Let's see. All right, so we have some zucchini growing right there. I'm not sure if you can see them. They are doing really well. And anyway, we'll back out of the garden. And that's my little backyard garden. It's just me and my wife, and we're going to enjoy a lot of the vegetables that we raised in our own garden. Well, anyway, guys, I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time and looking at the video. I also last week scratched in some blood meal fertilizer, and I water my garden in the morning for about 15 minutes. Everything gets a good soak, and then midday I water it again, and then in the evening, anywhere between 5 p.m. and dark, I water it again. So I know I'm not overwatering my garden, but it's what works for me, and the garden is doing very well. Corn loves a lot of water, and it loves a lot of nitrogen. Beans love a lot of water, and they like some fertilizer. Squash, your crookneck squash, your zucchini squash, and your collards love water, and they love the fertilizer, and they also love phosphates, some kind of salt, and along with the tomatoes as well. You can pick those minerals up at your local hardware and feed store, most likely, or farm store. So make sure you're giving your garden the fertilizer and nutrients that it needs to do well. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to make sure that I put this video on Outdoors with Tim on my YouTube channel. Go there and check out my other videos on gardening. Maybe there'll be some help to you. And thanks for watching, guys. Outdoors with Tim.